was not a fun show. Okay, 20 seconds left. Okay. Also, guys, any final questions for Jen, make sure you put those in the comments below and we will try to get them in this show. Tonight, we bring you a jam-packed show. We have Jen, the Carnival Legend Cruise Director, as our guest. We have our photo of the week coming from the Carnival Caribbean Cruisers Facebook group, another segment from Life Below Deck with Lucas Bone, and Chali will unfortunately not be joining us today due to heavy electrical activities in the Port of Galveston and her hometown area. We have cruise news with the latest news and more sciencey facts around cruising. Get ready, raise your glass, because this is Cruise Week TV Live. Our show this week is brought to you by the good folks at Good Memories Travel and by Venus. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Matt, your host, and still sailing only 2 times, a newbie cruiser. Bird is back and in his rightful place, behind the camera. And I am back in the big chair with my squishy cushion to bring you another fun Saturday night and a dose of cruise information, tips, tricks, and ways to save you some coins on your next cruise. I am Matt, your host, and I really need to get on another cruise. I want to ask you guys in the comments, how many cruises have you been on? Type your answers right now. I have only been on 2, so I am still new, but luckily my guests and co-hosts have been on a lot more, so they bring the experience and expertise to our show. Something I can hopefully get in the future, but that's still to be discussed. A little later on, we will be discussing the port stops with Chali. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen anymore due to her having some technical difficulties with the storm Hurricane Harvey hitting it there pretty heavily. Also, we are going to be talking to Jen, who is going to be talking all about Alaska and the Carnival Legend. And we're going to be taking a look at what's new on this week's cruise news. There may be a bright side if you receive one of those annoying robocalls offering you a free cruise. Turns out you may be eligible for up to $900. That's because a judge in Chicago recently approved a settlement that mandates resort marketing to Carnival Group and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian cruise lines to shell out cash for their telemarketing calls notifying people they qualify for a free cruise. The judge ruled that the calls violated the Federal Telephone Consumer Protection Act because the marketing company didn't have written permission to use the phone numbers. According to a class action lawsuit, Resort Marketing Group brought people's contact information from a data broker. The lawsuit was filed in 2012 by Philip Shavart, a recipient of one of the phone calls. Depending on the number of plaintiffs who come forward, the settlement is worth $7 million to $12.5 million. People who receive the calls between July 2009 and March of 2014 can receive up to $900. A website has been set up so potential plaintiffs can check to see if their phone numbers are in the database. Bird checked it out yesterday and his number was there, and it is an easy online form to fill out. We will post the link on our Facebook page. Those eligible have until November 3rd to file a claim. Maintenance on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line Ltd's private island of Labadee in Haiti began August 14th and will last for 2 months according to Royal. The restoration will focus on the replenishment of Adrenaline Beach with reef balls, which are artificial reef modules, to be added to the water to promote the growth of new marine habitats. A bonus for cruise passengers who enjoy snorkeling like myself. The work on Labadee is set to be completed in 4 phases and scheduled to end in October. Work will not be done while cruises are on the island, and the beach will still be open for use during this time period with lounge chairs available. While enhancements are made, some spaces like views from the beach bungalows might be affected. We are glad they waited for Bird to visit before starting the beach area maintenance. The Jamaica Tourist Board projects that Jamaica will host 4.2 million visitors by the end of 2017, surpassing last year's 3.84 million visitors and setting a new record. According to arrival statistics in July, Jamaica welcomed over 234,051 stopover visits, and a 10.8% increase over the last year from the same time period. Its cruise sector is also shaping up to host the highest number of cruise passengers from record. From January 1st to the end of July 2017, Jamaica received over 1 million cruise passengers, up by 4.9% over the same period last year. That growth trajectory is expected to continue, especially as Jamaican evolves leading cruise destinations to the Caribbean with the support of its newly launched Cruise Jamaica initiative. Jamaica is on a very good path, says Jamaica's Minister of Tourism. Due to the Jamaican tourism boom, the island is seeing both an expansion of existing hotels and new developments across the island, resulting in a significant increase in room stock. The destination is poised to obtain 15,000 additional rooms projected by 2021, which will continue to propel growth for the sector with an increase in both arrivals and earnings. About 20,000 vacationers are stuck at sea on cruise ships headed for Galveston Island, with some unable to come ashore until perhaps next week because of worsening weather conditions brought on by Hurricane Harvey. 4 ships that have been set to dock over the weekend, 3 Carnival cruises and 1 Royal Caribbean boat, were turned away after the port of Galveston closed about noon Friday, with Galveston force winds approaching. Peter Simmons, interim director of the Port Galveston, said officials are still trying to determine if it will be safe for ships to port to go to Galveston Sunday. One official said it could be Tuesday or Wednesday before the ships can dock. Harvey continues on its expected path toward Houston and Galveston. We're working with the cruise lines, the Coast Guard, and the pilots to see what can be done to bring cruise ships as quickly but as safely as possible, Simmons said. 2 of the ships in limbo, the Carnival Freedom and Carnival Valor, were set to dock Saturday and will make new stops in New Orleans instead. Guests who wish to terminate their cruise at that point and disembark in New Orleans may do so, Carnival said. However, given the severity and projected path of the storm along with potential changes, guests may encounter in attempting to travel back to Galveston independently very strongly discouraged and due to remain on board as we intend to return the ships to Galveston as soon as possible. The Carnival Breeze remained docked Friday night in Cozumel, Mexico, and was expected to depart Saturday for Galveston. The closure of the port came on the heels of a voluntary evacuation announced Thursday for the west end of Galveston in anticipation of the flooding and possible utility outages. But city officials were confident Friday that the island was ready for Hurricane Harvey's wrath. Robert Gitta is one of our followers, and he is actually on the Carnival Breeze right now. He sent us this video to play.
Well, everybody, this is Jen.
Hello everybody, welcome to Cozumel. I'm currently a passenger on a Carnival Dream that left Galveston on Sunday, the 20th of August. We were supposed to return to Cozumel, to Galveston tomorrow, Sunday, but we're still in Cozumel. We overnighted in Cozumel. So now our departure is supposed to be for 6 p.m. all aboard 5:30. So that's in about less than 4 hours departure. The captain is going to give us another briefing here at 6 p.m. We have free use of the phones in the room to make travel arrangements, to change things. We also can leave the ship and return to our homes, although we have to pay for the flights. So I've seen some passengers dragging their luggage off the ship, leaving the ship because they have to be at work on Monday, or their kids have to be on school on Monday. So other than that, there's no issues. Most people are happy. There's no disgruntled people on the ship. There's certain lines at the guest services, people trying to make some arrangements, got some questions, but other than that, it's a very festive mood. People are happy to be on a cruise vacation. So there's no remnants of hurricanes here. As you can see, I'm outside the port area here in Cozumel, and nothing going on. Hot, humid weather, slight breeze. I went into downtown Cozumel today, about 2 miles walking back and forth, and so no issues whatsoever. I guess the problem is in Houston, Corpus Christi, Galveston. Those people are getting hammered. So I feel sorry for the people that have to get on the Carnival Breeze, the Liberty of the Seas. I don't know what's going to happen, but as far as here in Cozumel and the Carnival Breeze, everything's okay, and we have no issues whatsoever. We've been extended. We don't know when we're going to go or where we're going to dock, but so far it's been a good cruise. Bye-bye.
direct with the cruise line? Well, personal service for one, and cash credit back is another. So whatever cruise you're planning to be on, give Good Memories Travel a call. You get the same great rates as booking yourself, plus you may get an onboard credit or a customer reward. Yes, they actually give you money to go cruise with. They enjoy planning and helping you with weddings, honeymoons, all of that. Good Memories Travel specializes in handling every aspect of your group cruise, family getaway, or that family reunion you've been wanting to plan. Imagine letting someone else do all the work while you get to relax. In fact, Debbie is handling our group cruise on the horizon in 2019. But they don't just handle cruises for Carnival, they also book cruises for all cruise lines like Carnival, Royal, MSC, Norwegian, and more all over the world. They are your one-stop place for everything you're planning with your cruise. Debbie Smith is part of the Cruise Planner, so give her a call to see what they can do for you. It doesn't cost you a thing to look them up and get your best rate. Call Debbie for a free, no-obligation quote on your next cruise. What have you got to lose? Debbie can be reached at 321-338-2953, and of course through their website at goodmemoriestravel.com. And let them know you heard about them on Cruise Week TV. A lot of cruise directors on Carnival ships come from the USA. However, our last two have been from England and Scotland. Our third one is a lass from Liverpool, which is the UK. She is Jen Baxter and the cruise director on the Carnival Legend. Jen has been doing the loop from Seattle to Alaska. This sounds like an amazing cruise, but Jen can tell us more herself. And if you have any questions for Jen, please post them in the comments so we can get to ask her. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Hi Matt, how are you?
Doing pretty great. How are you doing today?
I am amazing. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm in Liverpool. I'm at home. I'm on vacation, so and it's great. All's good.
So you're on vacation now. Let me start with a question that I like to ask some cruise directors. Do you go on cruises for a vacation? And if you do not, is it weird for cruise directors to go on a cruise for their vacation?
I do not go on a cruise for my vacation, and it is kind of weird, Matt. It is because when you get off the ship after doing your 5, 6, 7 months, I feel like the last thing I want to do is go on a cruise. But I have been tempted to maybe go on a different cruise line just to see what they're doing on there, or maybe I'd want to go and see a couple of friends of mine. But I like to come home, relax, drink tea, and walk the dogs.
Well, I'm glad we're both having some tea tonight. I would prefer a beer, but I mean, it works. It works. It's good. Keep me nice and calm. So, how long have you been with Carnival, actually?
I've been with Carnival since 2001. So what, like 16 and a half years? Yeah, I've been cruise director for 11 years. And it's funny because people ask me, they're like, oh, when are you going to leave? When are you going to be done with it? And I can't see myself leaving anytime soon. It's great. I love it.
What did you start off as when you first joined the ship crew? Were you automatically a cruise director, or how did you build your way up to become a cruise director?
No, when I started, I was just one of the entertainment staff. Now they call them the fun squad. And they are the guys that do all the trivias and the bingos and kind of the gangway duties, kind of the menial stuff, and like the upbeat guys doing the deck parties. And I did that for a while with not really any intention of making cruise director. I was just having fun. And then I got promoted to assistant cruise director, and I think that's when I thought, I can do this. I can be cruise director. So I stuck at it, and here I am.
So
16 and a half years on.
Now that things have kind of moved on, the assistant cruise director position is now gone. They replace it with the, oh gosh, what is it called? Entertainment director. Yes. So how do you feel about that transition? Is it pretty noticeable? Do you think it's a positive change or a negative change?
Oh, it's amazing. It's fantastic. When we first did it was, I didn't know how it was going to go. It was a little bit challenging, but now that it's fully rolled out and like everybody knows what they're doing, it's the best thing ever. Because what it's done, it's taken away from the cruise director all of the behind the scenes, like paperwork and safety concerns and all that behind the scenes stuff is gone. So now primarily I can be out and about with the guests, doing activities, doing fun stuff, and that's what my main focus is. So for me, it's fantastic. I love it.
So, being with the ship for over 16 years now, you must have some pretty interesting stories with guests and a lot of random things that happen. What's one situation that's kind of like the most awkward moment for being a cruise director?
Okay, this is, you're gonna love it because it actually was on the Legend, but like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, we were in Tampa. Legend's selling out of Tampa, and we have what is called charter. You know what a charter cruise is, where you'll have a group of people on,
Hmm.
and they will rent out the ship for the entire cruise. Yeah, we've had an Elvis charter, and there's music charters and religious charters, all different stuff. And this charter that I was cruise director for was a naked charter. So everybody that
Okay.
came on, all the guests were
Naked.
naked.
Was it 18
Uh,
and up, I'm assuming?
and it was, cut a long story short, it was so fun. Like everybody was so lovely. And on the very last day of the cruise, we did a talent show, and I was, hosting the talent show, and I introduced this couple onto the stage. It was an older couple, must have been like 80 years old. This guy and this lady married, and I said, "So what are you going to do today?" And they said, "Well, we're going to do an Irish jig." And
Oh
that's what they
no.
did, fully naked, 80 years old. The two of them did an Irish jig for 3 minutes. It was awesome.
It sounds awesome. I take your word for it completely. Did any of the crew
It
get
was,
involved with the naked bits, or is it just the guests?
it's just the guests. Let me tell you something though. The guests throughout the entire cruise were saying to me, "Oh, you've got to go naked. You've got to go naked." And I was like, "No, absolutely not. You don't want to see this with nothing on." But on the last night at that talent show,
Mhm.
I actually did just for 2 seconds. I actually did, and I got a huge standing ovation. But I will never do it again, Matt. Never. Mortifying
Oh God.
for them.
Bird wants to know, is there video production quality stuff allowed on the ship, or was it all just like a no questions asked, don't ask, don't tell type of thing?
No, it was kind of no questions asked. And I feel like 8, 9 years ago, people had mobile phones, but it wasn't like it is today.
Hmm.
Like everyone's
Oh
filming
yeah.
everything now. It wasn't that way then. So let's hopefully, fingers crossed, there's no footage of any of that.
I'm glad I wasn't on that cruise because Bird would be there with me with his camera, and I just can't hold a straight face if Bird's there naked with his camera filming me. Probably wouldn't be a great thing. Not great for interviews.
Not
Anyway,
really.
enough about that. Let's move on. Karen Green on Facebook asks, "How much free time do you have with your job on Carnival?"
Ah, it's busy. It's being a cruise director is busy because you're always on, especially on a sea day. Pretty much on a sea day, it's all day from early in the morning, like 8, 9 a.m., right through till about midnight. You might get a couple of hours in the afternoon, but then during them few hours, you've got to do paperwork and do schedules and get ready for the night. On the port days, it's a little easier because most of the guests are off the ship doing tours and having fun. So we'll get a little bit of time off then. So you can go and do what you want. You can go and get off the ship, go for lunch, do some internet, go on a tour, or you can stay on board and relax. But it's a busy job, and it's 7 days a week. So by the end of the
Hmm.
contract, it's exhausting, but it's fun. It's fun, exhausting.
So how do you stay energized? I've talked to, oh gosh, over five different cruise directors now, and half of them say they don't drink coffee, they don't drink tea or any energy drinks. On the ride over, I had two coffees and a 5 hour energy just to keep me up. Do you drink coffee, or how do you stay energized?
Well, do you know what? I don't drink alcohol. I haven't for 11 years, so I don't have that boost. I drink tea, Matt, all day, all day. I'll have like 7, 8 cups of tea in a day. Anytime anybody sees me, I've got a cup of tea. So I feel like that is my secret to keeping the energy. But you know what it is as well. If you're in a fun job and you're doing what you like, that in itself brings you energy. And hanging around with people who are having a good time.
Hmm. I would love to agree with you, but if there's a lot of people having a great time and I first wake up in the morning, not gonna have a great time. That's gonna make me so much worse. Be like, oh, everyone has all this energy. Okay, summon me some coffee, and then I'll get into that wonderful happy-go-lucky mood.
Yeah, I do have to have I have to have the cup of tea before I'm really feeling it.
Hmm. Melissa Colby asks, "What is the best time of year to do a cruise to Alaska? I hear it's cold and dark and rainy. Is that true?"
No, it's tricky because we start our Alaska season in the end of April, and then in 2 more weeks, then the Alaska season's over. In the middle of the summer, like July, it's beautiful. Like it's not cold at all. It's t-shirt weather. It can sometimes it can be a bit lippy and it might be a little bit drizzly, but it's beautiful. But for me, if you're going to go to Alaska, go early on. Go in April and May because the mountains are still snow capped. It's colder and it's a little bit wetter, but it's spectacular because you see all of them. Oh, the snow on the mountains is just incredible.
I am absolutely jealous. I love anything nature, hiking, just mountains in general, and anything with local food and alcohol. Also on my list of things to try in that area. So, with Alaska, I'm assuming you've been off the ship and done some of the ports and some excursions. What are some of the better excursions that you've been on there?
Well, I've done them all because part of the cruise director job is we have to do a talk all about the tours to kind of tell people the best things to do in the port of call. So I've been on most of the tours in Alaska. Whale watching is unbelievable. They take you right out close to the orcas and the humpback whales and the seals and the sea lions. That's amazing. I've done the best thing that I did was a helicopter tour. So you're on the helicopter above the glaciers, you land on the glacier, and then I went dog sledding on the glacier. So you're on the glacier sledding with the dogs, and then you get to pet the puppies afterwards, which was like the best thing I have ever done anywhere in the world. Oh,
So, with the dog sledding, is that a whole time you can do that, or can you only do that at specific months in Alaska?
no, it's the whole season. It's insane. These guys set up a camp up on the glaciers for the entire season. They live in huts, like in big tents, and they're there for the whole like 5 6 month season. So as long as the weather's okay and you can get up there in the helicopter, you can go dog sledding, and it's the best thing to do. If anyone's going to Alaska, hands down, that's my number one recommendation.
I will definitely have to convince Bird to take us to Alaska and then we can go on one of those excursions because that sounds absolutely amazing to me. I would love that so much. How many people
But
are able to do it exactly for that excursion? Because you have to take the helicopter up, and I'm assuming only a couple can fit on the sled.
well, you get about 6 people can go in a helicopter, and they'll have about maybe 4 or 5 helicopters will go up at the same, like more or less at the same time. They'll
Hmm.
all land. And so maybe like there's 20, 25 people up there because while they have different groups of dog sledding groups. So one will go off and then you'll get set up with your group. You get to pet all the dogs, introduce the mushers will talk to you about what's happening, and then you'll do your trip around, and then you get to pet the puppies. So it's like the whole excursion is about 3 4 hours long.
That
So they'll
sounds
do
like a
maybe,
that sounds like a
yeah, they'll
pretty
do like
decent
two
amount of
lots in a
time and
day.
everything.
But they
That's really
also
cool.
like, not everybody's got dog sledding on a glacier
Hmm.
money, right? So, but if you want to go and see the dogs and do dog sledding, you can do it like on land, just close to the ship in the mountains. They have dog sledding camps set up there, and they talk all about the Iditarod race, which is amazing. And then you get to pet the dogs and do some dog sledding in the forest, in the rainforest. Great.
That sounds even better. I thought it was just kind of, on the snow, but if you're going through the forest and the trees, that's we'll definitely be talking to someone. Maybe in the future we can interview someone from that port area. I think that'd be kind of cool to talk to them about.
Oh, it's the best thing. Like I look forward to the Alaska season so much. Not like there's so much to do. You can
Hmm.
just go hiking and walking if you want, even just on a regular day. Like we cruise through the Glacier Bay and through the fjords, and it's just spectacular to sit on your balcony or on the open decks and just see the mountains with the snow on, and oh, it's amazing.
Mary William asks, when will the schedule for Alaska for summer of 2019 be posted to book?
I am not sure when it's going to be posted, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to do it. I'm pretty sure the Legend is going to do it. I know there was talk about them bringing another ship to Alaska, another Carnival ship. We had a guy come on board, like one of the logistics guys, and he was checking out all the ports to bring one of the other ships. So maybe, fingers crossed, 2018, maybe 2019, there'll be 2 ships there.
Nice. So with the recent Hurricane Harvey, hitting Galveston, Texas, and a lot of ports being shut down there, and some cruises unable to dock, can you go over a little bit about what happens for staff members when there is an issue of that nature where you can't dock and it's extended by a couple days?
Yeah, well, I was actually on the Carnival Conquest when Hurricane Ike happened. Maybe, I can't remember, like 6-7 years ago now. And we were actually in Cozumel, like the Breezes, and they closed the port of Galveston, and we ended up staying in Cozumel overnight. Then we went to New Orleans, and like the ship said, if anybody wants to go home, you can leave in New Orleans and go home. But if you want to stay on board the ship, you can stay on board, and we'll get you back to Galveston when the port opens. We ended up having only about 350 people stayed on board. So we did like I think it was 4 sea days. We went back to Texas, and Galveston was still closed, but we docked at the port of Houston. So it's really tricky for the crew, because you then have to make up an extra 4 or 5 days. So not only for entertainment, you have to put on extra entertainment and shows and activities, but for the food and beverage staff, they have to make like a whole menu for like 3-4 meals a day for another 4 days out of whatever. So the head chef, that is like a crazy job for him. Like the same with like Camp Carnival, Camp Ocean, they've got to come up with all different activities for the kids. It's a whole like crazy maze behind the scenes of stuff that goes on. Logistics is insane, but it's one of them things that happens, and the guys that are on there are trained. So if that does happen, then people kind of know what to do. You just go into that mode of, this is what we've got to do, so let's get it done. And it can be quite fun, because the guests are usually really, really lovely and understanding, and you feel like it's a little bit of camaraderie. Everybody's in the same boat, so to speak, in the same situation. So it's kind of a nice feeling to be on board with the guests in that situation.
So with that, and having to come up with all this extra food and drink items, do you guys have to ration any food? Because usually on the ship, it's all you can eat pretty much whenever you want to eat. So how do they limit the amount of food consumption, or is there just that much extra food on the ship where that's not really even a worry?
No, there's that much. They have a lot of food on the ship, because the storage areas on the ship are huge, and ships can hold food up for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So like these ships are probably going to do an extra like 4 or 5 days. Some of the ships right now probably will be going to New Orleans. They'll get supplies on, I would think, in New Orleans. If it came to the crunch, then you could always get other ships to like bring supplies and send them over on a tender boat if need be. But it never really would get to that point, because there's so much food on board.
Are the specialty restaurants closed down for that time period? Are those open as well?
I would think, I don't know for sure, I'm just kind of thinking here, I would think that they would still be open. Maybe not all of them, but a couple of them, depending on what ship that you're on. Like the Breeze has a lot of specialty restaurants, as opposed to the Freedom, which has only got like 2. So I would definitely think they would keep a few of them open, depending on how long it was going to go on for.
Yeah.
An extra 2 or 3 days would be fine.
I can imagine how difficult that is for the staff, though, just having that extra couple days, especially when you get back, and sometimes you get that little breath of fresh air to breathe in before the next part of people come in. I don't know how they could do that. That's pretty insane. How much of the moral toll does the extra days out at sea really take on the staff?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. Sea days are hard anyway, and you have to put in 100% extra when it's a situation like this, because you always want to go above and beyond, but especially when like in this kind of situation, you do want to go the extra mile for everybody, and it's tiring. The dining room staff work in crazy hard. The housekeeping team, it's a lot of extra work for people.
Do they plan any extra events such as maybe some plays or entertainment shows, or those?
Well,
how do those get reorganized?
I know actually, it's fun. I got a message from somebody a little bit earlier for the 3 carnival ships that are they're sending extra variety acts and comedians and fly-on performers. So they've got like a whole load of extra entertainment on for the evening. And I would think that also like the performers, the playlist performers, the singers, the dancers would probably be putting some shows together. The cruise director would be putting shows together with the fun squad. So there will be like extra stuff going on throughout the time.
When they come back to port, how does that mess up the schedule for other ships? Because I know some days they'll take a bunch of people off, and then that same day they'll have a bunch of people on. How does it affect future cruises?
Yeah, well, they will have already told the people schedule for the next cruise what's happening. And it's when it's so up in the air and you don't know where the port's going to open, it's very tricky. Some people will be, Texas is one of the easiest ports because a lot of the guests that come on a Texas ship are from Texas. So a lot of people will they drive to the ship, so they'll probably wait at home till they hear when the ship's going to be in. But, if it's going to be 4 or 5 days, then they will probably cancel that cruise.
Do they cancel the whole cruise, or do they just make it shorter?
Well, if the cruise is 7 days, but the ship's 5 days late, then you'd have to cancel the cruise, right? It's a real awful for the guests who booked it, but then they would be given that cruise credit and they could book and any other time.
With the extra kind of 2 days off, does that mean the staff gets a little bit of a break for those 2 days, or what do they do exactly?
When I was on the Conquest and we ended up going back to we went to Houston, and then we went to Galveston, and we were in Galveston for it was 2 days, so 2 full days and 1 night. And we actually let some of the guests stay on board the ship for that time if they couldn't get home. And the crew kind of like you can get off and on. It's nice to have an overnight in port because you feel like a real person, and you can go off and have dinner, go to a bar, tootle around, and then we left, I think, the following night. So it's kind of a bit of a bonus as well for the crew because you can get off and see places that you've never been. We actually had on the Conquest an overnight in New Orleans as well, which was fabulous.
New Orleans is amazing. We were over there too for the Carnival Triumph.
What a
so
place.
Great. I would love just to go back and walk around there again. I was unfortunately not feeling the best. I was super tired on my whole entire trip to the Triumph, so I want to go back, redo the Triumph, redo New Orleans, and just have actually a great time at 100% versus sick Matt sleeping in.
Go back. I love the Triumph. It's one of my favorite ships. I love her.
It was such a great ship. I loved it a lot. It was absolutely fantastic. Gosh, we have a couple more questions coming in. This one comes from Lori Mystical. Oh gosh, I am so sorry, Lori, if I butchered your last name. Jen, were you ever on the Fascination? You look familiar, apparently.
I was on the Fascination in Jacksonville. I was there for about 2 years. I loved it. I love the guests that come on the ship in Jacksonville. And I like Jacksonville because they've got a fantastic open-air mall. Brilliant.
So Burgess told me we have a quick video of you in Alaska that we're going to show really quickly to kind of go back.
Well, everybody, this is Jen, your cruise director on the Carnival Legend, and for the first time in 2 years, we are here in the Tracy Arm Fjord. We've not been able to come, there's been too much ice, and this is the first day in 2 years we are here, and I managed, thanks to our wonderful shore excursion team, Carnival Adventures, I am on this amazing glacier boat excursion, so check it out. This is the Sawyer Glacier at the end of the Tracy Arm Fjord. If you come here to Alaska, you gotta get here. It is beyond incredible. What a gorgeous day as well. Enjoy the glacier.
That looked absolutely breathtaking. Just one of the areas I really want to go. You were pretty close to land. Was that on a tender boat or is that the actual ship itself?
No, that was a boat. That is a special tour, and that we have never been able to go to that Tracy Arm, the actual Tracy Arm. It's always been too full of ice, so we've had to go to another glacier called Endicott. So this was the first time in 2 years that we'd been there, and it's an excursion. So you get on this big catamaran boat that takes you, like the cruise ship itself goes down the fjords, but because it's so big, it can't get as close to the glacier as the little excursion boat. But the excursion boat gets so close. We got even closer than where I did that video. And when you look over the edge, all the like the icebergs, there's seals and sea lions sitting on the icebergs. It's so great. So great.
How close are the seals and the sea lions to the boat? Are they just right on
You
the
just
ice?
look down and they're right there. You just look right down and they're there.
That's so great. I'd love to do that. I would love like a nature tour or something of that nature, just to romp around Alaska, maybe see a moose. I hear they're a bit more hostile in nature than captivity, but that's to find out in the future.
Well, I've never seen a moose, but I have seen some bears.
How far away from you from these bears?
Well, I've only ever seen one bear, and I was on a bus, and the bus driver stopped and was like, everybody look to the right. And the bear was like right outside the window. But there was, on the cruise before I left for vacation, there was a couple of guests, and they went on an excursion and they filmed themselves 6 feet away from a bear.
Oh my God.
That's madness. It's so crazy.
Must have made a good video though.
Yeah. Kind of scary though. Why are they that close and not running away?
I don't know. That seems like something a bird would make me do. Hey, see that bear? Go interview it really quickly. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I'd be like stepping away. But that's what a dream. What a dream to see that.
So we're gonna not take up too much more of your time. I know it's super late over there. So final question. What do you miss most about land while you're on the ships?
I miss my dogs. My mum's got 2 dogs. They're Welsh sheepdogs, and I just miss having a pet. That's my number one thing that I miss. I miss being able to make a cup of tea whenever I want, just put the kettle on, and just being able to get in the car and drive around. Like, I'm on vacation right now, and I've got a little Mini at home, and sometimes I just get in the car. The weather's been beautiful. The whole time I've been home, it's been fantastic. So I've just been driving around and just going to supermarkets and walking up and down aisles and not looking at your watch to get back on board the ship. Just fun, just being a normal person. Walking dogs and drinking tea. Oh, what a dream.
Sounds pretty normal to me. So where can we find out a little bit more information about you?
I've got my Facebook page. It's Jen Cruise Director. I'm also on Instagram. I've just got my own Instagram thing last week. So I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. So check it out. I'll be putting updates on. I get back on the ship next week. We do one more cruise in Alaska, and then we head up to Hawaii. And then from Hawaii, we go all the way down to Australia. And we're going to be in Australia for 6 months.
Amazing. I'm so jealous. Please just take a couple pictures and videos and definitely send them to us. We would love to see them. But thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it a lot, Jen. It was great chatting with you. No problem.
Thank you so much.
See you later. If you want to follow Jen, her cruise director page is on Facebook at facebook.com/JenCruiseDirector. Lucas has been keeping super busy this week, and it's time to join him on his next adventure. He has been talking to band managers on the Majesty of the Seas. Thanks for joining us, Lucas.
Hey guys, this is comedian Lucas Bone again with another interview, Life Below Deck. This is Gannon. He is the musical director of the orchestra on the Royal Caribbean Majesty of the Seas. Gannon, how are you doing, sir?
Excellent.
Real quick, I have interviewed a lot of people. I have never interviewed a musical director, and I know very little about what they do. I know you can play the trombone very, very well, but tell me, what does a musical director do on a cruise ship?
Well, I play in the orchestra and I direct the orchestra and everything the orchestra does, but I'm also in charge of all the live music on the ship. So every band that you see, every individual that you see playing live music, they're under my management. And so I have to schedule them, decide what they're going to play, when they're going to play, how all of it times out with the rest of the activities and stuff on board. So it's a lot of paperwork. There's not a specific amount that everybody has to practice per week. If you're playing the shows well and you're meeting the expectation of what the gig calls for, then there's no requirement for practice. Some guys come in and they practice all the time. Some guys come in and they don't practice at all. It's kind of open as far as that goes. But you do need to practice the new music that comes on, because sometimes we have very little preparation time.
Yeah, now I know sometimes some of the headlining acts will come on with sheet music that you or your orchestra has never seen. Is that sometimes stressful, where you only have a couple of hours to learn and really get good at the music?
Yeah, absolutely. We have guys come on and maybe we'll have rehearsal at 4 or 5 in the afternoon for a show that's at 7:30.
Oh, that's not a lot of time.
So we get a 1-hour rehearsal for a 45-minute show.
Wow.
And in that case, we just have to read it and do our best. But it has to be put together so quickly, and that first show after the rehearsal is always terrifying.
Yes.
Because I have to remember 1,000 things of when to count this off and when to cut this off and what the next tempo is and what's happening here and what's happening here.
And you're also dealing, I'm sure, with egos,
And egos, yes. It's some guys are cool, some guys are not.
I understand.
You deal with both.
What is it over here? Yeah, I saw one person over here yelling out. High school journalism. Sorry, we were looking for real teachers. Real teachers only. High school journalism. Wow. That's like the top 10 jobs that are not going to exist in 3 years. Journalism. Maybe you should journal, or you could just read this blog that this stay-at-home mom does. She's got 1 billion followers. That's probably what you need to do. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be honest. That was weird. That was high school journalism. That's amazing. Look at her husband. I say this every day.
Our photo of the week comes from the group Carnival Caribbean Cruisers. This time, we want to thank everyone who submitted a photo. This one is from Katie Shank, who is busy holding the ship from running into the sand. Is that the Carnival Pride ship? Not too sure. Remember, we feature a new photo every week, so be ready to submit yours, because we never know what group we're choosing. This show and all of the wonderful abilities we have to bring in guests remotely would not be possible at the level we do without vMix. vMix is the live production software that powers our live show and many other high-end productions. From church services to football games, more and more live productions run on vMix. What our producer Bird really liked when he was trying to improve our show was that they give you a full 60-day trial of everything. That way you can test it out risk-free before you buy for 2 full months. Then they have systems starting just from $350. If you're going to do any sort of serious live streaming, you need vMix. Try it at vmix.com today. So we may have missed our co-host, and she is not going to be here this week due to having a large amount of issues with Hurricane Harvey in there. So we are moving on the show. On Monday, August 21st of 2017, all of North America experienced one of nature's amazing phenomenons, and it was a solar eclipse of the sun. Anyone within the path of totality can see one of nature's most awe-inspiring sights, a total solar eclipse. This path where the moon completely covers the sun in the sun's tenuous atmosphere, the corona, was seen as it stretched from Salem, Oregon to Charleston, South Carolina. Observers outside the pass saw a partial solar eclipse where the moon covers part of the sun's disk. As amazing as the eclipse was, not many people were able to enjoy it consequence-free. Many news sites, Facebook posts, and other areas warned people about the dangers of viewing the eclipse without proper eyewear. Unfortunately for those who did not listen to the warnings, less than an hour after the Great American Eclipse completed its coast-to-coast show on Monday, people's fascination with the sun and the moon quickly turned to concern about their eyes. Symptoms for eye damage related to the eclipse wouldn't show up until the next morning or so. They include blurred vision, where the very center of the vision might have a spot on it or multiple spots that were missing in their vision, that were very, very blurred. Around it might be some clear spots. It literally depends on exactly what happened, how long you were staring at the eclipse. But the number of Google views for eye damage went up severely and traumatically after the eclipse. There's quite a lot of people who were hospitalized with some eye damages. But if you are one of those viewers who do have eye damage due to the solar eclipse, do not worry at all. You can get our show on podcast and listen to us anytime you want with one download. Our group cruise is coming up in 2019 on the Carnival Horizon. This is being put on by our good friends at Good Memory Travel, and we would love to get our community on there with us. It is February 23rd of 2019, and we hope to have our entire team on board and having a blast with you all as we're enjoying one of Carnival's biggest and newest ships. The entry for the $500 drawing has also been extended, so you can be entered into when you book it. There is a webpage for the cruise, and that is cruiseweek.tv/groupcruise. Let us know what you would like to see on the group cruise, since we have never done one before. The entry for the $500 drawing has been extended till December 31st, so go ahead, book and join myself, Joe, Bird, and Chali, and we will all be on one amazing ship together. If you guys want to follow us on the Oasis cruise, we have a calendar posted. That already happened, though, so I'm going to be sketching that little section. I want to thank Cruising Cat from RC's Periscopers Group for helping us out live over there in our Periscope chat room. If you want to see a lot of live streams from the people on the ships, head on over to the RC's Periscope Group on Facebook for a list. And if you know someone who will enjoy watching the show as much as you do, be nice and share the link on their Facebook so we'll have and enjoy it too. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just doing that really helps out our shows and our sponsors a lot and helps our shows alive each week. This brings another episode of Cruise Week TV to an end, and as always, guys, we'll see you on the ships.